Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone from the UK, Bournemouth. Salamat Hari Raya. Actually, sorry, it's still Ramadan, yeah? We're still going with Ramadan now. So we got a good number of questions this time. And of course, if you want, you can still leave some live questions here in the comments, and we'll see how we get on. Person who asked about homeschooling, don't worry, I haven't forgotten. But we're gonna focus on the Ramadan based ones first, and we'll see how we get on with the others. Dedicate some time to them. Right, so let's just jump into what we got here. So there are two questions to do specifically with ladies. So I'll go in with the first one, the easiest one first, which is a general one. I'm praying my salah holding the Quran. It drops on the floor. What do I do? Does it make a difference if it is Fard or Taraweeh? Now, obviously, this is a really good question. Can we hold the Mus'haf in the Salah? Yeah, according to the Shafi'i Mazhab, you can hold the Mus'haf in the Salah and you can read from the Mus'haf whilst you're praying. It doesn't matter whether that is Fard or Nafil. So if it's a wajib prayer, like Salatul Zuhur, you can hold the Mus'haf in there. If it's a Sunnah prayer, like Taraweeh, you can also hold the Mus'haf in there. It doesn't make a difference. What do I do if it drops? Right, okay, so essentially what we're looking at here is the conditions of the Salah. So we don't want to break the Salah by unnecessary movement. So if you are able to pick it up, then go ahead. Otherwise, leave it until you get to a point in the Salah where you can pick up the Mus'haf again. So if we want to be careful here, just leave the Mus'haf there. Even though, of course, it's not a good thing to leave the Mus'haf on the floor. But in this case, you don't want to break your Salah. So if you're worried about making too many big movements or too many movements in repetition, like, for example, three consistent movements, three different movements, one after the other, that are not part of the Salah, that would break your Salah, right? So if you want to be careful, then just leave the Mus'haf until you can come to a point where you can pick it up. For example, if you're in sujood or in the sitting position, then you can pick up the Mus'haf, right? So that's easier, probably an easier position. But otherwise, just leave the Mus'haf on the floor. It's okay. You don't want to break your Salah. Yes, right. Okay, so let's get into one of the meatier questions here. If a lady is not praying, but before that she was praying with her family, the Tarawih and Isha prayers, can she still carry on joining them? I'm assuming she means as in the prayer, with the intention of dhikr or remembrance of Allah, and she knows that it's not considered a prayer. Basically, I feel left out not being able to join my brothers in prayer. Okay, this is a really important topic in general, and I like the specific question, actually. It's a nice one. Let's look at this in general first and how we see the issue. Obviously, I'm not a woman, so anything I say is secondary knowledge, right? And a secondary opinion. But how do we as Muslims, and especially women, see the menstrual cycle? It's important for us to notice that it's a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to pray when you're menstruating. So just like we are commanded to pray as Muslims, women specifically are honored by a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to do so whilst menstruating, which means that they are rewarded for not praying, if we get that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened a specific door for women that He has not opened for men. So, for example, we have things like prayer and zakah and fasting, which every single Muslim has to do. Doesn't matter whether they are a woman or a man. But women have been given doors that are specific to them. So one of them is menstruation. So when they are abstaining or suspending the salah, when they are menstruating or suspending the fast even, they are in an act of worship by following that command. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored them with such a specific type of practice that only they do. Women are left out of the picture in that one. So this is important, that we have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as a good opinion of others. We have to have a good opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know that as the creator of everything, He hasn't put injustice in the world. And actually, the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does are just a variety. He's just opening a variety of treasures and doors to Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He's given women this specific honor. And when we look at women that didn't menstruate, for example, Sayyidah Fatima radiallahu anha, or Sayyidah Maryam, we say these are karamat, or miracles, or mu'jizat even. And obviously a miracle is a supernatural thing, a supernatural event that occurs around a person. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're better, or it's better. What it means is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has rewritten the laws for that person. But in general, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up a door for women with the menstrual cycle. And if we look at it as a cycle as well, a natural cycle, then we understand that the nature of women is that they are naturally they have a greater affinity to the cycle of nature and the world around us. So they actually understand and connect much better to what is around us than men do. Because of these natural cycles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in them of menstruation and childbirth and other things. Now, in regards to this question specifically, if you are menstruating, then you can't do as if you're praying, because this is what the jurists have mentioned is called at-talabbus bil ibadah. So you are pretending to do a ritual act of worship. So this is exactly like the case, for example, for someone who is in the prayer and then somehow they've lost their wudu, right? I don't know how, like maybe they've let some airdrop or something. So they are in the salah and boom, the wudu is gone. Now it would be haram for them to continue to pretend to pray. Like some people, right? I know in the masajid, when they're in the congregation and they're in the front row and there's like 10 rows behind them, they're like, oh man, now I have to go through these rows and everyone's going to know what I did in the salah. Yeah, but still, you need to remove yourself from the situation because you can't pretend that you're praying. The acts of worship are specific, so you either do them properly or you don't do them at all. In this case, right? Some of the conditions of these acts of worship need to be there all the time. So the menstruating woman, she can't join in with her family in terms of actually doing the movements of the salah and others. But if she feels left out, then what she can do is she can put, like, for example, a sajada or a musalla, what she prays on, a prayer mat, and sit there while they are praying, listen to the recitation. She can do dhikr whilst they are praying as well, or she can just read a book, or just, just to be around there and feel like she's part of the process and remember and remind herself of the salah. Obviously, as we said before, there are so many things that people can do, and think of it as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opening for you a different door of ibadah. So rather than he said, don't pray, don't read Quran, please do something else. And if you hadn't been menstruating, then you would have been busy doing Quran and praying. So now you're going to be busy doing something else that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do. So, but in general, if she wants to still join in that process and occasion, I know, for example, some women in Dar Zahra and Tareem, even if they're menstruating, they come to the musalla, or they sit around the musalla and they kind of take part in the experience. So that is a little bit on that issue. An issue that is connected to this is if a lady has so the question came in, if a lady has not been fasting because of pregnancy, and then the next year she's not been fasting because she's breastfeeding, does she still need to pay the fidya and make up the fast, and does it double up every year? Okay, first of all, to unpack this, obviously we need to understand that pregnancy doesn't mean that you don't fast by default. And we only put ourselves in the situation of not fasting if one of two things occurs. And this is in general, it's not just specific to pregnant ladies. First of all, if she feels that it's going to be detrimental to her health, if she fasts, or if she feels that it's going to be detrimental to the baby's health, or both. If she feels that it's going to be bad for her specifically, then she only needs to make up the days missed. If she's not fasting for the sake of the child, then she needs to make up the days missed and also pay fidya. Now, in terms of fidya, paying the fidya as well, I don't know what the fidya is in Malaysia. It's different from each place, right? Each country, each region. And the way you pay fidya, that's something you can find out for yourself. It's quite simple. But the thing is, right, these are the two categories. If she's fearing for her own health, she only needs to make up the days missed. If she's fearing for the health of the child, then she needs to make up the days missed and pay fidya. If it's for both, then it's as if, so if she fears for herself and the child, then it's as if it's the first category, right? The category of the person that is fearing for themselves. This is not specific to pregnant ladies. This is specific to anyone. Sorry, this is general for anyone. So if you fear that the fasting will be detrimental to your health, or it's going to aggravate an illness that you already have, then you're allowed to stop fasting, and you can just make up the days that you missed when you're better. So the pregnant lady comes under this category. For example, if someone saw a dog or another person drowning, right? You can jump in, obviously, or you could, I don't know, drink water to get strength or whatever. But anyway, the point is you could break your fast for that reason. To save that person, you could break your fast. And you're going to be in the category of the second category of the pregnant lady who's fearing for the life of the child. So that person that's saving the drowning person is also in the category of breaking the fast for the sake of someone else. So they need to remake that fast and pay fidya. So it's actually a general category in which pregnant women can also fit. Now, it's important to remember, pregnant women don't stop fasting by default. If you're pregnant, you don't fast. No. What is good is to ask the opinion of a health professional, a doctor, see what works for you, and then come to a decision on whether you can fast or you can't fast. Because Ramadan is a special time, and the fasting in Ramadan is special. So if we're fasting or we're breastfeeding, we shouldn't immediately stop. We should have a look at this and discuss it with someone who knows better. And someone who actually cares about Ramadan itself, right? So there are lots of examples of ladies who do fast, alhamdulillah, and there's lots of examples of ladies who do not fast when they're pregnant or breastfeeding. Now, if you haven't been, and this is specific to the question, if you haven't been fasting for Ramadan because you are pregnant, depending on the categories that you are in, then let's assume for this case, let's assume that she wasn't fasting for the sake of the child when she was pregnant. Then now she needs to make up the days missed and pay fidya. If she wasn't, and the next year, now she's breastfeeding and she feels that if she fasts, it's going to affect the nourishment of the child. Then again, she needs to make up the days missed and pay fidya, which means that it's a rollover, yeah? It adds up. So rather than having to make up 1 month, you're making up 2 months here if you've stopped doing it for 2 years. Now, there are some ladies, subhanAllah, they're pregnant every year. So we'll see how that works out. But it's a rare case, right? And then it just gets added up every year. This is in rare cases, obviously. Yeah, so that is the thing in a nutshell. Remember, always think about what category you are in for why you're not fasting, and the different rulings pertaining to that. Now, for a nice question, not so meaty, we were asked about how did the Prophet ﷺ eat dates? So if we look at the Sunnah collections, the Hadith collections, we find some evidence of the Prophet ﷺ breaking his fast in specific ways. So what he did was he would eat dates and drink water. That was the main way he would break his fast. It's also reported that he might have done it with milk as well. If he didn't have dates, he would just drink water. Now, how did the Prophet ﷺ eat his dates? He used to eat them in odd numbers. We're not sure what number specifically, but it could have been 1, it could have been 3, could have been more, but it definitely was witr. It was an odd number of dates the Prophet ﷺ used to eat. And also, he would eat them one by one. So the Prophet ﷺ never stuffed his face. I've seen a kid, right? Subhanallah. I've seen a kid was literally swallowing them, like maybe 3 or 4 in one go. So that's definitely not the Sunnah. So the Sunnah is one at a time. Yeah? One by one. You eat one, finish it, go for the next one. And you want it to be an odd number. And then you want to drink water. If you can't find dates, open your fast with water first, then have whatever else you're having. That is, I think that's the only question that was left. We could still look at other ways that the Prophet ﷺ used to do things in Ramadan. So obviously there's something in general terms, like for example, say that Aisha radiallahu anha describes in Bukhari that the Prophet ﷺ used to strive, work harder, do a lot more in Ramadan than he did outside of Ramadan. And in the last 10 days of Ramadan, he would do more than he did in the rest of Ramadan. So this is a very good indicator of what we should be doing in Ramadan and what we should be feeling. So it's not a time to be, I suppose, lazy. Depending on what situation you're in, you should do as best as you can, because you should try and leave Ramadan. We should try and leave Ramadan feeling that we've just come out of a special time and that there was something different in the air when we're doing our ibadat. So that is the important, factor when it comes to understanding Ramadan, that we do more than we could have done outside of Ramadan, and also that we don't, ruin our Ramadan with just thinking about Hari Raya. Even though Hari Raya in Malaysia is like sick, it's not like here in the UK. You can't even, like in the UK, in most places we don't even know it's Hari Raya. It's just you go to the mosque and then khalas. But except like Birmingham and Luton, where it's basically Pakistan. So yeah, they do celebrate Eid. So don't go too hard, yeah. Don't party too hard on Hari Raya. But yeah, in general, so Ramadan is a special time. We do as much as we can. This is a good question here. What is the best strategy or way to get enough sleep, rest, and also do our best in ibadah every day? To be honest, I can only speak from experience here, and every person is different. I mean, even the Salaf, right? For example, Sayyidina Omar used to pray, and he'd wake up for tahajjud, whereas Sayyidina Abu Bakr used to do the tahajjud before he slept, fearing that he wouldn't wake up. So it does depend on the person, and even the Salaf were different in this regard. One thing that makes it really easy, for example, in a place like Malaysia, is that everybody is doing it. So there's a constant encouragement to do more and do best, and everybody's on kind of the same routine. The individual, I mean, we're already in the middle of Ramadan, but one of the best things is to strategize before you start doing anything and think about yourself, assess your situation. What can I do? What am I able to do? What am I capable of? Then add a bit extra to that. So we're getting this. So I do my 5 prayers. I do all these sunnahs and stuff. Yeah, I know that. What is the extra bit that I can do? 20 rakats of Taraweeh. Or 8 rakats of Taraweeh. That's the extra bit I can do. Half an hour of reading Quran. Half an hour of sitting alone doing dhikr. Or, I don't know, even like something more obscure, like half an hour of asking all my friends how they are for Ramadan. And then we want consistency. So we build up what we can do, make a routine that we think will work and can stick to more or less, and then be consistent. Because the Prophet ﷺ is said to have liked things that were consistent, even if they were small. So the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to others and think, MashaAllah, Sister Zahra is doing 100 rakahs of Taraweeh, and I'm only doing 8. La, don't do that. It's about your relationship with Allah. So you want to strategize how you're going to fit that into your day. What is important also is when we're strategizing, one thing that is always useful for Muslims to do is think about the pattern of the day, think about the 5 prayers in the day, and build your life around those rather than the other way around, rather than fitting them in. So the core of your schedule is Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and so on. Not work starts from 6 to 11. When am I going to find time to pray in those? It's easier said than done, but to be honest, it's just a mindset. I'm not saying like, so I shouldn't be thinking of work. No. It's just a mindset of the prayer is the most important thing of the day. How am I going to sanctify that part of the day, even if I'm at work? And that's how we strategize our ibadat. In terms of sleeping, exactly the same thing. Think about how much sleep you can work on. Don't think I'm going to cut down 2 hours or 3 hours of sleep and then khalas, I'm going to drive myself through Ramadan. You might get sick and then not fast the rest. Again, it's easier if everybody is on the same routine, and it's normal for us all to sleep a little bit less in Ramadan, yes. But if you want to maximize, then you need to maximize your energy as well. And you need to maximize what you're going to eat, as in what's the best thing to eat for me to be energized. So yeah. Someone gave me last year in Ramadan. Someone gave me mata kucing for iftar. That was pretty weird. I'm not gonna lie. First and last time. I mean, I don't have anything against mata kucing, but it was weird for me to open my fast like that. So yeah, that was not gonna energize me for Tarawih. So let's think about those things. Yeah. Cat's eyes. Not actual cat's eyes. Ask Malaysians what it is, or ask Singaporeans. They seem to love it even more. Yeah, so I think that's a good point to end the question and answers on it. If anyone has anything else, what are you saying, Ibrahim? You don't know them. You don't know what the cat's eyes are. Yeah, I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later, Ibrahim. But yeah, if no one else has any questions, then we'll see you on Wednesday, inshallah. Keep sending in your questions. I hope I did justice to them. I hope I opened up some new ways of seeing things. And have a good Ramadan. Don't burn out. It's just the beginning. We haven't even reached the 10 days yet. So don't burn out. Just maximize. And remember, it's all about connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So see everybody on Wednesday. Inshallah, we'll have some more interesting questions. And I'll look up some frequently asked questions as well, inshallah. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.